What's up, everybody? Hopefully you guys are doing great as always. My name is Itai, and today we're going over the chess tactic known as the Blockade, which if used correctly can give you control of the game and lead to a victory. First, I want to encourage all of you guys to go down to the comments right now and type one thing that you think that you want to learn more about in chess. Maybe it's an opening that you always found interesting, or a chess tactic that you never really got a grasp on and you want to improve. This way I can fine-tune my chess content for your needs and get you the perfect videos for you. Let me try to explain what the blockade is and also when and how you should use it in chess by this example on screen. As every example in my videos, I encourage you to stop the video, try to figure out what you would play in this position, and then rejoin to figure out the best move. Here, as the title, intro, and thumbnail suggest, you're going to be using the blockade. And the blockade is when you block a piece, usually a pawn, from ever being pushed forward, hence the name blockade. But here there's a couple of areas where you can use it. You can play this move and block this pawn, but that doesn't do anything. This pawn can never really promote because it's faced by these two pawns, as opposed to this pawn, which is faced by no other pawn on your side. It's a passed pawn. More than that even, it's supported by a couple of pieces. So this is a very dangerous pawn, and it can be used very well by your opponent. So you just want to stop it. And playing a move like knight here completely stops it. The knight wasn't doing anything here, so it's not like you're taking away a valuable piece. And now this piece that was very dangerous, it was a huge asset to your opponent, is doing nothing. It can't really promote anymore, and all of these pieces that were helping it seem to be now pretty useless. They don't have a purpose anymore as they're helping a piece that is stuck. As for why I decided to use the knight instead of these pieces, generally you want to use the piece that is either doing the least amount or is worth the least amount of points. Obviously, if your only job as a queen is to stop a pawn from being pushed, that's a pretty bad queen. Same with the rook. But a knight here, it's the knight wasn't doing anything, A, but also B, the knight isn't worth as many points, so it isn't too much of a deal. Additionally, the knight later on can be used, obviously with it being this L shape, it can be used to move around and put pressure on pieces. So once this bishop moves, the knight can find itself in these pieces where it'll be attacking the queen. So the knight here isn't completely useless. And that's kind of what you want to be thinking of. Okay, this is a very dangerous piece. I can block it. How do I want to block it, right? So those are some of the questions and ideas that you want to be thinking of when you use the blockade. In the position we just went over on screen right now, you can see that this blockade was used as a defense mechanism to stop this passed pawn from ever being promoted. Well, in this example, there's no danger of a passed pawn being promoted, but the blockade can still be used. So you can see that the blockade isn't always necessarily a defense mechanism, and sometimes it can be used for other reasons. So in this case, which is an actual in-game example that I pulled from a game, you can see that this move here was played. And this move, number one, it develops a piece, which is always something that you want to do within chess. Number two, it puts the bishop in a nice spot, but here's where the blockade comes into play. This pawn here, it isn't close to promoting, it isn't a passed pawn, and it really isn't supported by too many pieces. But it is still a pawn that if it were to get to this spot here, it could be annoying because now there's nothing really white can do easily to capture this pawn because this rook can support it and you can always swing in another rook to support it. So this pawn here would be a little annoying, especially when it comes time to start pushing your queenside pawns. So what you want to do is move your bishop here, and aside from the benefits of developing a piece, being ready to maybe start doing other developments and getting maybe your rooks into the game, it also comes with the benefit of blockading this pawn here. So you don't always blockade a very dangerous pawn. Sometimes you want to use this mechanism when it isn't necessarily a huge threat, but you still find a lot of positives and a lot of reasons to do it. Now let's look at how you can try to maybe stop your opponent from blockading you and what you can do to limit the amount of pawns that are blockaded on your side. On screen, you can see an example where your opponent is blockading your pawn, a very dangerous passed pawn because it's just so close to promoting, but it's blocked by this knight. and you obviously want to free up this position so the pawn can promote, and sometimes there isn't a way. Like in that first example right here, once we move the knight, black doesn't have a lot of options to ever really attack this knight, because it's controlled by a lot of pieces and it's helped by a lot of pieces. In this example here, this last example, you can see that this knight here isn't very supported, and there's a very nice way to try to attack it. Okay, so always pause the video, try to figure out what move I'm referring to. You're going to want to play this move here. And the idea is to then push the knight one further and really challenge this knight here on c7, which is blocking your passed c-pawn from ever being pushed and promoted. In this position, the king is too far to come to help, and so there isn't really much your opponent can do. I mean, even let's say the king does try to make its effort to try to help, you just play this move here. If the knight ever takes, I mean, that is pretty bad. You can simply recapture straight back, and now you have this promoted, or this soon-to-be promoted pawn, as well as still a structure. And there's nothing your opponent can do to counter this, as this passed pawn here, it's very guarded by you. So this is going to be very terrible, and there's nothing else black can do. I mean, let's say they play this. You can just do this, and black is technically, gonna have to take this pawn, otherwise they're gonna, be faced with the queen. But either way, they're gonna lose the game, because after you capture this, you're up a knight, and your king can easily be found or find its way to then just start, taking away black's pieces and even promoting more pawns into queens, obviously, to help you win that game. So this is going to be a very solid endgame. And so you always want to be thinking, when you have, let's go all the way back, when you have this one little, chance of hope to promote, when you have this very precious part of your position, always think about what is blocking it, and is there any way that I can remove this blocker and continue pushing my pawn, my very precious pawn, into a win. I truly hope that this video helped you learn about the blockade. Once again, if you have any video suggestions that you think you'll find interesting, or you want to learn more about something in chess, leave them in the comments so I can make the perfect videos for you. Also, I want to ask you, if you know anyone that you think will benefit from my videos, maybe family members or friends, then send them my way. You can press that share button, because as long as they're benefiting from it, it will definitely help me out. So definitely make sure you send them my way. Finally, if you're new around here, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I post all videos related to chess, and if there's one specific topic that you think you're not very strong at, simply ask and I'll make videos just for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.